So this is for $60,000 for an ambulance stretcher system. Chief, would you like to enlighten us?
Yes. As part of last year's capital appropriation, we received funding to purchase a new ambulance. As part of that build for the new ambulance, the new standard of care are these power load stretcher systems. What we're finding in EMS especially, we're suffering a significant amount of back injuries, even with all of the training we do on proper lifting techniques, which is a continual process for us. The studies are showing that we as a society are becoming more and more obese, to be blunt about it. And that, coupled with the risk of dropping patients and the liability that exposes the town to, this now has become the standard of care, these power load stretchers where the mechanics do all of the work. We put the patient on the stretcher, push a button, the stretcher is lifted up, and then retracted into the ambulance. As part of the build process for the new ambulance, we were able to benefit from some early rebates on the purchase of the system for that ambulance, and we did. We had it for 90 days as a trial, and we ultimately bought it, and we'll be putting it in the new ambulance. Well, of course, now we have two ambulances, and there's a need to put it in the second ambulance. And that's what this appropriation would be for. Just as a little bit of an aside, there are two companies. There's Stryker, which is the one I'm proposing. There's another company that makes a very similar product. It's not exactly the same Furno. It's a little bit more money, and it doesn't have the same benefits that we found in the Stryker. And I will also say that over the last year, 14 months, we've had two extended back injury claims from members of the fire department from lifting patients.
Where do those generally run? Do you have any estimate or something?
The stretcher systems?
No, the injury on duty
Well, it really depends on how long they're out for.
and the severity.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to workman's comp, but one was out for almost 12 months. The other one was out for eight or 9 months. Back injuries are notorious for recurring, and they're usually, you can't pinpoint it to one thing, and they just take a long time to heal.
I think somewhere in the literature that was provided to us, it said the average back injury between lost time and medical treatment ran about $70,000 or $71,000 per incident.
And I think we have a cap on our workers' comp reimbursement. Barbara would know that better than I would, but I think we have a cap on our reimbursement too.
But Chief, is this stretcher something that could be moved to a new ambulance? Yes. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, good. One of my questions.
So it's compatible with the current ambulance, and then it could also go to a new one?
Yeah, so the plan would be, we've put the demo, or the one we purchased already, in the ambulance that's being replaced. So when the new ambulance comes in, that particular unit will go in the new ambulance. This would be for the ambulance that we're keeping. And that's a 2015, so theoretically, we're keeping that till 2022, 2023, so we'll get another 4 or 5 years out of it.
Oh, okay.
Do you have any idea of the lifespan of both the power system and the actual stretcher mechanic system itself?
I can tell you the warranty is 7 years. So I would say that the company is pretty comfortable saying that it's at least that. And that's about the time of what we keep the ambulance for.
And that's both the battery
That's both.
and... Okay.
Yep.
And so you plan as seeing this as part of just the normal equipment when we buy a new ambulance to outfit it?
By the time we buy the next ambulance, there won't be any other option. This will be the only option. It'll just be which vendor you buy it from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Not, is there a motion to approve Article
moved.
47?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? There's 6 of us, 6-0, thank you.
Thank you. The firefighters' backs, thank you as well.
Really, wow. Sure. Oh, yeah. I was going to go right to the reserve fund transfer for you, but you were still downstairs.
Okay.
Well, we might as well before we go to that article, right?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Appreciate it. Probably left the car running, but
With the key in it?
They did, yeah.
Okay.
I'll take it.
If I have a problem, I'll go back up.
Thanks, chief.
Crowd here tonight.
Hooray.
All right, where's that reserve fund?
Aye.
The town manager search committee has presented to him.
I talked to Eric, and I told him, because I had been emailing back and forth with Kathy, and based on the information submitted, we didn't feel it was necessary for Eric to come in, but he told me he'd be on call if he needed to. Because
You said 8 o'clock.
yeah, 8 o'clock, and he's only a short distance away, but I did talk to him, Ted.
We have a rec committee thing today?
Okay.
Yeah, the lights.
So you want to just do the reserve fund transfer, and then I know recreation's next on the agenda.
Okay.
I can sit down and then.
All right,
we
yeah,
can
why
talk
don't you do
about
the
it.
reserve fund
Okay,
transfer?
perfect. So just so you know, there is Article 35 of the special town meeting warrant has an article for the potential of funding costs associated for the town administrator search. Discussion is that it would be appropriate to get a reserve fund transfer because Leon leaving is unforeseen, okay? So there was no money budgeted. And we would like to move forward with being able to bring the consultant that's going to be hired on board sooner rather than later. If we do not go the reserve fund transfer route, we wouldn't be able to do anything until October 30th because we wouldn't have the funds in place. So I know we're very close to special town meeting, but, you know, it's still it's a couple weeks away, and, you know, I think it makes sense and it is an appropriate use of the reserve fund. So the article, or the reserve fund transfer, is to cover, you know, costs related to hiring the consultant, costs of advertising, and any other costs, you know, that are incidental to it. Yeah. I don't know if, Jim, you have more to add.
Yeah,
but-
it's $9,800 for the consultant fee, and that is for the incidentals you mentioned, and the estimate is it's going to be $350 per candidate to vet the candidates in terms of the background check, so that's another $1,050, so the rest of it would be postage and, you know,
Advertising and printing.
advertising, printing, and so forth, yeah.
Are you going with the one that you sent us,
We're going with,
that was sent to us?
Community paradigm.
yeah, and we have it tentatively set up, if this passes tonight, because we're in a hurry to get started. He's going to be here at 10 o'clock on Thursday morning if this passes tonight. If not, we'll have to reconsider and do it after the town meeting if it doesn't get approved
Right.
on the RFD.
Bruce, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering, how long does an expert like that think it'll take him to find someone?
Both of the outfits we talked to felt that we'd have someone in place if we get started now, probably by early to mid-January, I think was the estimate. It's going to take about that long.
I think that's about mid-January should be.
Yeah.
How and where do you plan to do advertising?
The two major resources are the ICMA and Mass Municipal Association, and I think there are some other publications you're aware of that they could use in the area too. Two main ones are ICMA and MMA, which is pretty normal for advertising. But part of their resource is that they can also do outreach besides advertising.
Which was an issue that we discussed with them because, and we've gotten feedback from others, that the difficulty with trying to reach out to candidates is confidentiality. And a lot of them won't talk to someone like me if I'm calling on a search committee because they don't know who I'll be talking to expose their,
Oh,
that they're looking for a job. Whereas paradigm that we're using both of them are very well trusted. The candidates that they approach know that they can speak freely and not worry about someone finding out that they're looking for other employment. That's a major issue.
So are there other costs that you'd be giving over to them to do? Like, so in other words, you know, the advertising is kind of left to them across whatever.
The advertising
Is there anything else that they would do?
us.
Oh, you guys do have a say in that?
$1,900 is for the consultant fee. And both companies were relatively similar that we talked to. And then they both also said you have to pay for advertising.
Yep.
And so advertising and printing was a little over about $1,000, over $1,000. And then they also recommend you have some funds for background checks, and that was a commitment of $1,000.
Oh, right, right,
But that would
They
be
may
our-
arrange
that would
and
be
do
our
those
cost.
things, but we would have to pay for them.
right, right.
Or the town's cost, not my company. Taxpayers' cost.
I'll make a motion to approve the reserve fund transfer in the motion $11,800.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? 6-0.
At the same time, I'd also make a motion that we take no action on Article 35 for the town meeting warrant.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, good. Thank you. All right.
Eric, if you're watching, you don't have to come at 8 o'clock.
What is it today, 16?
Today's the 16th, yeah. Thanks, Bob.
Okay, if Rec wants to come up? I don't want to keep you waiting. So you are Article
37.
37. So this is lighting the town barn field.
Oops, what was that?
So if you guys could identify yourself, because I don't know if our recording secretary remembers your names.
Ann Massioli, Recreation Director.
I'm Katie and Phillips, Recreation Committee member and a CPC member.
Oh, good, okay. So you're representing the CPA, or,
I'm representing the rec today.
okay.
Yeah.
Who's here to represent the CPC?
I don't think anybody is.
Okay,
So, but the funds are all coming from CPC,
correct.
yes. So, what do you want to tell us about this?
Yeah, so the project that we have that CPC voted on was to put lights down the town barn baseball field. So the current baseball field that's down there, it's basically maintained by, or the caretakers really, Sturbridge Little League. So we kind of pay for all the, Sturbridge Little League, which I'm also on the board of, pays for all the mowing and the concession stand, running that field, just general upkeep. So they'd presented a project to the rec to basically install lights. So with the project that came forward last year to put more fields down in that area, just to get a second baseball field, which failed at town meeting, the lights would definitely be a help with that, because then we'd basically be able to offer more games during the week, and especially on weekends where we could do 2 games as opposed to 1. A lot of fields around the area, so we travel quite a bit, so if there are any night games typically for Little League, we typically have to go to Dudley, Charlton, Millbury, because those are the fields that offer lights. It just opens up more opportunities for us here in Sturbridge. The plan we received is through Musco, so they're a lighting company. So we started working with them because there are certain regulations where Little League has to, certain laws that they have to abide by, where can't have glare, the poles have to be positioned in a certain way. So they've been doing this for quite a bit of time, at least 20 years when I spoke to a representative there. So what they typically do is they provide the lights, and then they subcontract out the installation. So they try to get local companies. They're a New Hampshire company. They're coming from New Hampshire, so they'll basically come in. This has to go out to bid anyway, so it would be the lowest bidder that comes in for the project.
Questions?
Yeah, so under the CPA, right, there's 3 categories we can use their funds for.
Yeah.
Which category does this fall under?
So this, I think when we look, so it's coming out of the general funds, and it's part of, I think it was recreation, I think recreation is a category in the CPC. And we did bring that forward to Stuart, our CPA liaison. Is this something that we can use this money for? And he said that was fine.
When you say CPA liaison, do you mean liaison to the rec committee or
No,
liaison with the state?
liaison to the state, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're okay with
They were
this?
okay with, yep.
It's allowable. It's allowable. It's allowable.
Yeah.
I talked to council too, it's allowable.
Yeah, to the chair, didn't we do the lighting at the tennis courts the same way, the tennis
Yeah.
courts themselves? Wasn't that CPC money?
That was CPC money,
Yes.
yes, that was
That's all.
CPC money.
And that did include lights.
Yeah, it did.
That included lights and redoing the field, yep, correct. The entire courts,
Which is very nice. Those are very nice, by the way. Those courts and lights.
So how many lights are we talking? And you mentioned just one field. You're only lighting one field?
Yep, it's only one field. So the plan that we have is to do 4, so they have a detailed plan in terms of how they do the lighting, again, in terms of Little League regulation, to make sure there's no glare and the size of the field. So there are typically 4 poles that they'll put up. So they have 2 poles behind home plate, not directly behind, so the pitcher's not looking into it. And then they have 2 poles to the far ends. So, so 4 poles, and then there's electrical over there already, so they came in and checked to make sure there's enough power down there, so that's all set. So the work they'd be doing would be to getting all the poles in, putting in the lighting, make sure everything works, essentially.
So did you have any, I'm assuming you had some sort of spec information to provide to CPC?
Yes, yep. So we had a quote that they provided to us, and
You don't have a copy of that?
I can forward it to you guys. I don't have a.
I have
Yeah,
my
you have a
one
copy.
copy
Yeah.
tonight. I had
Yeah.
assumed it was forwarded on.
Yeah.
This one I'm just starting.
I just think it might be interesting if anybody here wants to see, right? $150,000 for lights. And when you say it goes out to bid, so you don't know who will be doing the work yet?
Right, so just like with the tennis court project, so we get a quote from an outside vendor basically saying that, this is what we think it would cost. And, it could be definitely somewhat of a rough estimate, because they do have to come in and, figure out the lay of the land. But these guys have been in, but they're also aware that even though you're providing a quote, you may not necessarily get the project, because it does have to go out to bid, it does have to, all the rules from mass law.
So is
Yeah.
this amount of money allocation request based on that discussion? Like, how did you come up with this?
This number is based on a quote that the company that we've been working with provided, but under the understanding that they may not necessarily get the project, because it has to go out to bid, and the lowest bid will win.
That's a nice field.
So, I do have a question here too about, how does this lighting plan fit into the larger plans for that area and all the fields down there? Is this something that will have to be corrected later on if something gets done down in there?
Not corrected, because, so there was no,
Say adjusted, not
yeah,
corrected.
in the previous plan, there was no plan to light that field. The plan that we proposed at the last town meeting was to create a separate multipurpose field and a separate baseball field, or Little League field, and that would be lighted. But this field was, so it would be in addition to the previous project. So if we were to come back with a second project, all we do is add it next, the lights won't affect.
And the lights won't be affected by any
No.
future plans?
No.
And is this field a regulation-sized field? Because I know,
Regulation size Little League, yes.
And how do they operate? Is there a switch? I mean, now you
Yeah.
wouldn't have them on every
yeah,
night.
So they have, there are 4 poles that are set up, I don't know if you had that in your plan.
Yeah, I just asked.
So basically, they have the pole set up, and there's electrical that comes in, there's a switch that you have to turn on, it takes about 10 minutes for the bulbs to light up. It's about $3 per hour to run the lights, and then, so we're looking at, it typically will be weekend games, because we don't want our 12-year-olds up until 10 o'clock on a school night. So it'll typically be a Friday, Saturday game. So we'll probably look, and over the summer, we could extend our games, essentially. So for example, we, Little League host a tournament every summer. So when those teams come in, we're limited in terms of the number of games we can get in. But by adding those lights, we can extend the schedule, and then probably even get more teams in.
If you asked this already, I apologize, I was reading this, but, and maybe Barbara knows the question, but the answer, but what happens to the electricity usage? Who pays for that going forward? Did I miss that?
No?
Like,
Wasn't
will it
asked.
go into will it come out of the town's electricity light pole? So do you have to allocate for that?
We wouldn't, no, I mean, we have the central purchasing electricity account now.
Right, so it'll come out of that. Is there enough money to fund it for this year, or whenever they go
Well, I
in?
don't think this project will be completed in this fiscal year.
It won't be.
I doubt it, or
No.
the very end.
So the timeline is if we go to a town meeting, October 29th, if it gets approved there, we still have to go through, do the whole bidding process. That takes a couple of weeks. And then we have to have it posted for a couple of weeks. So by the time any contract is awarded, we're looking at FY19 or next year,
So next July?
well,
I would just, they're, obviously they're not gonna do the work during the winter, so the earliest it could
Right.
be the spring.
Right.
And then by the time by the time the project's completed, we're almost at the end of the fiscal year, so we'll be fine.
Okay.
Are you asking long-term, the cost? or-
Yeah, well, no, I wanted to make sure, I wanted to know if it was coming out of the town's central purchasing electricity account, and then how much they anticipated it costing extra.
Are the
yeah, that would be LEDs, yeah.
Which is very good. I'm sure it's third less than normal.
You just said $3 an hour.
Why is it about third?
You just said $3 an hour to run
Yeah.
a light.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
I didn't hear
3,000,
that.
yeah.
Is this going to help alleviate any of the problems that you've been having in finding fields for practices and games?
Yeah,
will help
definitely,
alleviate.
definitely for games and practices. We probably wouldn't use it for practices, really, because we don't want to spend the $3 extra and the time that it takes, but definitely for games, especially around tournaments, when we have extra teams coming in, especially over the summer, and weekend games. So, another thing we end up with, like the makeup games. So if a game got canceled, like we had a really tough spring and fall too with the weather. So when you need to make up a game, there are only so many slots you have available. So if we can put 2 games back to back on the night, that definitely helps quite a bit.
Do we know if there's any ledge there? I see there's no provisions for ledge.
That's what I was going to
Yeah,
ask.
yeah.
In your plans,
There was a ton of ledge.
yeah, exactly. So,
there's been a lot of digging down. So that field, has been leveled over the years, and we have a fence and cages and everything in that area. So, could we hit ledge? Yes, but hopefully, it won't be an issue. Because we've done so much work down in that area already.
I can't imagine that what you sink for, a backstop for the fencing is not as deep as you would sink for a 60-foot light pole.
I think he only said it was going to be 4 feet. So
4 feet and how big? I mean, you got to count
yeah, got to go. I guess the width. Yeah, right.
2 poles are 12 feet, 2 poles are 14 feet deep.
Is it 14?
Yep, 2 will be
Oh,
12 feet and 2
yeah.
will be 14
Yeah.
feet.
Oh, yes, it is deeper than that.
Oh,
yeah.
deep, okay,
Deep,
that's
yeah.
much-
The issue with the previous plans for the ledge too, that was like specifically for the multi-purpose field.
Yeah.
That was where the ledge was concentrated, which is, other side of the road from Little League Field.
Yeah, it was on the upper side. That area is pretty wet.
So what's your plan, not Plan B, but your next step if you do hit ledge here and they're not going to, do anything about it? So are you going to come back to the CPC and work through that way, or what are you thinking? The likelihood seems pretty strong that you're going to hit ledge 12 to 14 feet down.
Right. That's a good question. I think if we were to, we're hoping that it won't significantly increase the price, or maybe there's a little bit of room around it, but it's just always a hope. And so I know he also said there is a chance they can get away where if it's a solid enough structure where you get down to that ledge, and you can build the concrete around it, then it will pass, it will be fine.
Bless you.
It'll be solid enough.
Okay.
Have you thought at all about utilizing the fields during the week for adult activities, now that you might have lights? Where the time,
Has the room to support the youth activities, because something I would really like to do would be bring back the adult. So right now, we have people, like kids on the common. We're
no,
still
but
in
you
the-
had said that it wouldn't be a good idea during the week because it would be too late, but possibly an adult softball league or something might be able to utilize it later.
Yeah. That could be something we could think about.
Is it too small for adults?
It is small.
It is
It
too
would be
small for
small,
adults.
because it is a little league field. So the adults typically will play on Turner, which is a bigger field. So,
We could find short adults.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would fit that category.
Yeah, me too.
Well, they could have football practice in the outfield.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
We have soccer in the outfield. We can share.
Now, why did you decide, or the CPC, why did they decide to take it from undesignated fund balance instead of one of the designated funds? Is there not enough
I don't
money?
think there's a designated recreation fund. I think,
Doesn't that come under open space, or no?
No, open space I think has to be.
Barbara's, yeah,
Open space includes active and passive.
Does it
recreation.
include
Yeah.
active?
yeah, I thought it did,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the change was made
Yeah,
several
oh, it
years
was,
ago.
okay.
So they didn't, I mean, I don't know if there's funds, what the funds are.
There are, but I mean, they go, undesignated can be used for any of the purposes that are allocated under the funds. So it's fine to be undesignated.
Any other questions? Kevin? Seem to be pondering.
I am, because I always think, I mean, this isn't really for them, this is for the CPC and its ability, you know, spending the money and their reimbursement from the state and how they're working on not trying to hit the actual principal, but only keep spending the interest. That used to be the ballpark or the plan of how they spent their money.
No, I don't think so. No, they didn't want to spend, what is it, more, no, the interest.
It's that you
That
can't
borrow.
borrow for more money. You can't borrow, you
Then you
can't have
get
debt
yearly.
service for more money than you collect at the local level each year. So that if the state reimbursement was to, which it has been, has been getting less and less every year,
Yep.
you weren't relying on the state as well as local to pay debt service.
Okay, so what are we collecting on an average annual for this?
Oh, wait, it might be in our book.
You're a great counselor.
It only talks about beginning balances, it doesn't really say.
Kathy has it, it's in the CPC report.
It says estimated fund balance after
Yeah, but what's
after
its
FY
local
18 was
revenue?
1 million. Estimated fund balance after after the 19 ATM was 789. But that, if you want to look, go right ahead and explain it to us.
I need to get my glasses. Sorry.
You can use
yes.
mine.
It's right here. Estimated fund balance after fiscal
Right.
year 1918 was
Estimated
789,000.
state revenue is 75,000, anticipated fiscal 19 surcharge.
flip it to the rebel.
Local is 470,000.
Okay.
Anticipated interest, 27,000, so total 572,000.
Okay.
Now, it also, so some of the notes, the owner is responsible for getting the electrical power to the site. So I'm assuming that that's already there.
Yes.
And then the coordination with the utility and any company fees, is that included or anticipated in this amount?
For if company fees are,
Utility and power company fees.
So there's already power down at the area. So they came in, so before the quote was, so they did a quote and then they came out and also checked it out afterwards just to make sure that the power was there. So
That's all that has to be done for them? They don't have to do anything else?
No, they'll basically run the cable down from the power line down to the box that will then
Who
turn.
will?
I'm pretty sure.
Power company.
What is the pump? I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm just wondering if it's an additional it sounds like it might be an additional cost.
Yeah, so the way I interpreted
Just
that
want to
was
make
that
sure
if
that
they...
this
if-
money is going to cover everything, you
Yeah, I
know?
get it,
It's a
yeah,
lot of money, and it doesn't sound, I mean, some of the stuff that they're noting specifically, it looks like it could run over. I mean, I don't know. I don't have anything other than these prices here. But if they're saying that there are additional fees by the power company, I understand that the power is there, but I'm sure they have to do something
Something,
else. They
maybe,
don't
yeah,
just
yeah.
sit there and say, yep,
Right,
there it
right,
is.
Right.
Who hires the electricians and all that?
So that would be the contract, that comes in.
So assuming that they have to hire it, it will be included in this?
So when we put it out to bid,
I
that
don't
would
see
all,
where it's in here.
that would all be included. I'd assume that, these are the requirements, based on conservation, this is what we need to make sure, is included. The project, anyone who's awarded has to pay prevailing wages. Your response for mounting the general scope of the project, as we understand it.
Okay. Okay.
Not to exceed, the funds that we have available.
So I guess where it says furnish and install the transformer, I guess that would be the electrical portion, right?
We also have, Barbara has come up,
49?
which we haven't voted yet.
There is $19,254.69. I'm asking you to do 3 transfers, and what it is I did the funding bond issue back in December, there was excess bond premium. In order to use that bond premium, it has to be applied to capital projects. I'm looking to apply the $19,254.69 to this lighting project. So that is some of their contingency
In Article 49?
in Article 49. You don't have I provided the motion to capital.
No, I sent that out to everyone, but that was probably when you were on vacation.
Oh.
You probably didn't get it
So
or
we'll
see
be
it.
able to address some of the concerns that you have with that 19,000.
What's the number, 19,000?
19,254.69.
Okay. So what happens then, all right, so if it comes in exactly at the one,
So I want to try to deal with it on the back end instead of the front end, which I know you guys want to try to deal with it on the front end tonight by reducing the article, because I know how you think. I'd rather deal with it on the back end, which is basically, we would spend this money first.
I would have it written down,
towards
remember?
the project.
We did.
And then if there's any excess
on
from
that
the
piece of paper.
CPC article, that would close back out into CPC funds.
okay.
So it has the same effect in the end, but it offers us that cushion for what you're talking about.
Are these funds encumberable, if it's even a word, then?
Which funds, the 19 or the?
The 156, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, both,
it's an
really.
article, so it would roll into the project stuff. And then once the project's completed, we close out the excess, the second year of the project.
So you would want us to vote the 156,
I would, yes.
rather than reducing it by the 19?
There's some potential unknowns.
That'd be a
Yeah.
contingency fund.
Contingencies.
Makes sense.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Barbara.
I know they're doing the best they can, but it's,
And if they don't
It's
spend it, we
scary
get
that she knows how we think.
I think I also talked to Barbara about it.
I think there was a conversation about this.
But that's good. That's all right. That's all right.
I already had the amount, so did Jim. We had the amount
She must be
already.
a mind reader, right?
No, we talked about this.
Lottery numbers, I do also.
I'll make the motion
I'll second it.
Make the motion to what?
to approve Article 37 as written.
Any further discussion?
Hang on a second.
Sorry, it was 35, wasn't it?
Still doing arithmetic.
It was 37. No, I already did the arithmetic. It's right here.
I did not get it by email.
Oh, you didn't?
I'm sorry, and I have my email up. If you can just tell me,
I have no idea when it was. It was last week sometime.
do you want me to send it to you, Bruce?
It would be an attachment.
Well, you have it, so I must have sent it.
This is it. This is what you sent.
Sometimes when people ask me for things again, I think I dreamt
You have this,
sending
Joan.
it, and then
I do have it.
then it turns out I did send
She
it.
sent it on Wednesday.
Okay, perfect. You don't need that? You can take it. I can print another one.
Okay, thank you.
Are we all set then?
Freaking spam is killing me. 175.
All in favor of Article 37 is written? 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do you need this back?
Would you like to keep a copy?
You could put it on the refrigerator.
I'd actually like it if no one wants it.
Would you like it? Sure, here you go.
He's going to put it on the refrigerator.
No. I keep all,
I believe the next one is Nelson. I do see you here. That is Article 44.
44.
We're really jumping all over. Then we're going to have to go back to make sure we voted everything. There's a few. Do you want this too, Kevin?
I think
I
he
have
has
that.
Oh, we have that. And it's got that. Oh, Barbara.
This is what,
This is just back up in case I have questions I can refer to that, and that's what I asked.
Can I bother you for yellow book for a second?
Just back up in case I get asked questions. And this is what I asked the selectmen.
I heard it. Thank you.
I numbered it so it would be easy to
Okay.
refer back to.
Thank
Did you hear my pitch?
Okay.
It was the backup in case I get asked questions. So we refer that quick back to
Okay,
the, to you no longer.
thank you.
And that's what I gave to the selectmen for the, what I asked.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so this is a request for $3,091 for the building inspector salary. Looks like I had some notes on that. Anyway, Nelson, you want to start?
Yeah, when they went to give steps this year, I ended up with a half a step because I happened to be in an odd place, I guess. And I'm just asking for the step increase to put me back to where, so I get the full step. One of Leon's objectives was to give everybody for 1 year of service, a step. And basically, there was only two people in the whole town that didn't kind of get it. One was the town clerk, which she adjusted hers at the town meeting, and mine, which I'm trying to adjust now. Basically, that's the gist of it. I mean, if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Now, did this go to personnel? Or did you appear before the personnel committee on this?
I wasn't required because it's a step. Personnel would be just for like a grade change or something. So I was given the information that I wasn't required and I shouldn't be going to them.
So Nelson, the figure that you have, does that include doing the retroactive that you're requesting? Because you have in your letter that it would be fair to, if approved, to make the increase retroactive from the beginning of the fiscal year.
Correct.
That would include the, taking it back to the beginning of the fiscal year?
Yes.
Okay.
I see Kevin looking at that finance committee report. If you go to that page, if you have that report, go to page 42, and it clearly states 1 year of service. For 1 year of service, you get one step. It almost like there's no exception to it, but it seemed like I was the exception to it, and that's kind of like why I'm here.
I was having a very difficult time trying to figure out where your salary was in this report, because it's not clear.
It is very high, and that's why, the only thing I could do is I went back to the 2019 budget recommendations. If you people look at that, the first three, 1, 2, 3, and I don't want to mention any department heads, because I don't think that's right. One had 1 year more than me, and the other two had a year less than me. We're all basically the same grades, and you can see the amounts. If you go to the very last 2 pages, the last one is just for backup, because I had to try to figure it out, Kevin, it wasn't easy. But go to page 7, not 7A, but 7. Those numbers are real, and that's the amount I got. And I mean, that's like half of everybody else's, and I mean, numbers don't lie. And it was very hard to figure out, Kevin, like you said. And it took me a long time, because I had trouble with the steps and the grades and getting the information, and I mean, I can show you emails to that effect and everything. I mean, I think what I'm asking for is more than fair. I mean, you know. But any questions, Kevin, just ask me. I'm prepared to answer anything.
Yeah.
I did my homework. It just, you know, I just don't think it was fair at all. And I'm not saying anybody did it on purpose. I just think, you know, there's a lot of people in this town. I was just overlooked, I think, more than anything.
Actually, have you seen Leon's justification?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You don't have to have a copy of that printed
No,
out.
I don't know why I didn't print it out. I'm looking for it in my emails now. I thought I printed everything out.
He did state in it, it was factually
You have
correct that I
that?
had a point,
What's that?
and I do
Leon's,
have that here. I can find it. I'm gonna have to look.
Yeah, I haven't.
I guess I'd go to the finance director with a question, if that's okay.
I have the letter, Kevin, if you want me to read that particular sentence.
Well, I also have, I guess is this one of those positions that are going to be adjusted over multiple fiscal years, like some others have been in the past, or is that part of the plan? Does anyone know?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
In the past, when we were adjusting people's salaries, especially when there were large increases, they were done over multiple fiscal years with that understanding. In this particular case, does this position fall into that type of plan?
Well, I did some analysis, if you guys want to bear with me for a minute, because I read Leon's letter, and I read the reference to Sean, who, when Nelson was hired in May of 2014, he hired him as a grade 4, or as a step 4, for the purposes of not evaluating, but being able to allow for earning vacation time. Step 4 gets more vacation. The accrual was much greater than if it was a step 1 or 2 or less. But anyway, so I looked at that, and with a hire date of May of 14, that means the fiscal year of 2015 begins 2 months later. So on July 1st of 15, 2 months later, you don't go from a step 4 to a step 5, because you've only been working for the town for 2 months. So I would think that for 15, you would continue to be a step 4, and then as the fiscal year's completed, on July 1st every year, you'd move up a step. So I would think...
here's the letter.
Thank you. I have it. So this is just running the numbers. For fiscal year 15, it would have been a 4. For 16, automatically goes to a 5. For fiscal year 17, automatically goes to a 6. For fiscal year 18, goes to a 7. And for fiscal year 19, goes to an 8. And I know that's arithmetic. That's just starting from a higher date, and then every July 1st for each subsequent year with a step increase for each. But if the starting point was 4 on July 1st of 15, then it makes sense that on July 1st of 18, it would be 8, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Right.
That's an arithmetic progression, and that's what I came up with. So based on the information of when you were hired and what grade you were hired at, and then I just followed the paper trail through the subsequent
Did you
years.
see the letter from Sean, as far as, because he
No,
gave me...
I didn't see any,
he-
I don't have a letter from Sean, so
Because he gave me that raise, so what you're saying is kind of correct, but not really. You need to read that letter.
he gave you a raise or he hired you?
Because it ended up being $54,000.
But he hired you in May of 14 as a step
But the
4.
agreement was...
I don't have the letter. All
I have it, I
So
gotta
if I
find
saw the letter, I could
All right.
change my mind, but what I have is hired in May of 14 as a step 4. And that is pretty much at the end of the fiscal year. So now we're talking 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Unless you can show me something different.
I will.
In last year's budget, then, he was paid as a step 8? Is that what you're saying?
No, he was paid as a step 7.
Okay.
This year would be a step 8, except it's based
No, I'm
on,
talking about for fiscal year 19. He was paid as a step 7, not step 8, is your point.
fiscal year,
What we're in right now.
No, he's an 8 in fiscal year 19.
fiscal year 19 that just began, he's an 8.
He's an 8.
Okay.
Fiscal year,
Leon moved him to the 8th
But-
in this fiscal year.
but it wasn't on the numbers here based on the rate chart. The number he was at is, just give me a quick second to look, was 73764, and according to the rate, it should have been 72851. So it was actually about $950 above a 7 for the year just completed. So it was between a 7 and an 8. It was $950 more than a 7, but less than an 8.
Okay. And what would an 8 have been paid?
An 8 would have been, well, to give you relatively speaking, an 8 right now is 75942. An 8 is 72851. It was. Why don't I give you a copy of this, Kevin, because you obviously don't have it.
No, it's very difficult to follow what we're doing here.
So, here's the building inspector. And starts here.
Step
This
8
is
should
where
be-
he wants to be.
Right. And he's in between these two.
No,
He's in between 7 and 8.
yeah, you can find it in there.
Well, it says it's 75,942.
And it was 73,764 until before July 1st. And now it's 75,942.
Okay.
So if you look here, this 73,942 was somewhere between a 7 and an 8. It wasn't a 7, it wasn't an 8, it was in the middle.
Mhm.
It was actually closer to the 7 than it was to the 8. It was $952 above a 7, but which is still substantially less than an 8.
Mm-hmm.
So that was in 18, fiscal year 18, you say?
18 to 19.
But look, according to this book, it's 75,942.
That's what it is.
Yes, that's what it is now.
He moved him to
He
that,
wants to go to
Kevin.
79,093.
Okay, I thought he was arguing he's between
No,
a
no,
7 and
no,
8
no.
and wants to go to an 8.
This, no, this.
That's what's very,
No. He was here, and he went to here, and now he wants to go to here.
thank you,
You're welcome.
thank you.
Did you have, you guys got this too?
Yeah, no, I have
Okay.
this, yeah, I just
Okay.
wanted to see the map. No, I understand the progression. Unfortunately, I missed the personnel meeting in August, but I know, I don't think it was really touched upon much at all at the Personnel Committee.
Any other questions?
I'm not making a case, I'm just saying I did an
No, I
analysis based on
understand
this
that, yeah.
information that was
Well,
provided, and that's what I
but
came
your
up with.
analysis, you know, that would bring him way up.
Well, that would make him a 9, in a year he should be an 8.
Right, so I don't see the,
I was at a 7.5.
right, and he moved you up fairly to an 8.
8.
So I don't see what the, so he gave that to you,
It says in our finance book that everybody moves up, a year of service gets a step. Well, I didn't.
well, there was only a select few, it wasn't everyone.
Yes, it was.
Was it
says in
everyone?
the book, page 44.
He only moved a
42,
few.
42, read 42, the policy. It was written by Leon. Leon wrote it. May 8th, 2018,
It's at page 42.
42.
It's not something we wrote, though.
An employee would get a step increase as well as a general increase. This is now the case for all employees in Sturbridge. It was a policy that was written that took effect then.
Okay. But using Jim's analysis, if you are hired, right, step 4, and then at the start of fiscal year 15, you went, well, you were a 4, then you were 5 and 16. What do you, where's the argument
What's
there?
Jim basing it off from, because I'm not sure.
So Jim, how did you get to your starting point?
I'm sorry, what?
How did you get to your starting point where?
Starting point was that
What was your starting?
Nelson was hired in May of 2014.
Yeah,
So that fiscal year ended on July 1st, so he didn't get a raise on July 1st after 2 months of service. It just
Right.
doesn't happen that
but
way.
it's a 6-month.
You go when you go a full calendar year, it goes to the beginning of the fiscal year following your calendar year.
Yeah,
Or if
I
it's,
see where you
but it's
go.
only 2 months difference. It wasn't like he was hired in January.
This is the letter.
May.
This was an agreement between me and Sean. I mean, I guess you can say whenever it started, but it started at whatever it was, 48, then they jumped into 52, so this was
Yeah.
an automatic thing. So what he's saying is kind of true, but it isn't really true. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just one other
So I was
point.
really more than a step and a half. So I got deducted a step because I was over a step and a half, not under.
Just to clarify on the discrepancy, saying it's a half a step, it's $952 above a step 7, but it's $2,137 below a step 8. So say it's halfway in between, it's kind of not,
close.
it's not close. It's 1/3 of the way. It's not half. It's $900 versus $3,000.
Did you start the base?
I looked at the difference between the two steps, and the difference is over $3,000, and you're only $950 from the 7. So it's not halfway. It's about 7.25, 7.3 of the way. So I'm just trying to do this to have everything laid out. How this turns out, Nelson, I have no axe to grind. I'm just trying to make sure that the numbers are laid out clearly.
I'm a building inspector, not an accountant, okay?
I'm not either, but 2,137, you were below an 8 by 2,137.
My question is, what did you start it at? That's the big question.
What did I do?
And I
What?
think Kevin understands from that letter what I'm saying.
Well, I actually look at this and kind of agree with, to Jim's, because when you get hired, you have a probationary period, and then you start kind of really accruing stuff, and your probationary period ended July 20th of 2014, which would have put you in fiscal year 2015 at whatever step
At a
you're
step
at.
4.
And then you work your way up from there. I mean, I didn't see this particular letter because I have this one, but if you look, the second bullet point, that's what I'm talking about too.
I knew you'd have this.
I want to back up just to the point about everybody going up a step. When Leon made all these changes this year, and I could be wrong, but it was my understanding that it wasn't everybody went up a step. It was kind of, let's get everybody into place, and then starting next year, everybody will go up a step. So is that accurate?
That's how I understood it, Karen. That's why I was a little confused when you said everyone. I know going forward, I think that's the way the town wants to be, to be fair, but there were a handful, and it might be these numbers here that you found, because, we questioned that as well, where, why isn't everybody getting the 3% increase? Why are some people getting 7%? not
Right.
this? And the justification was, well, I did a,
Well, wouldn't that make sense?
so it wasn't everyone.
Wouldn't that make sense, though, that 7,000, because they want a step plus a little bit? They must have went the other way? I mean, there has to be a reason for those numbers that I showed you, because they don't make sense.
These numbers here,
Yeah,
so.
because what I'm putting for those last two numbers, those numbers, I came right out.
Well, part of the reason for that is because we have two people on that list. One of them's been here since 1995, and he's only at a step 9, and one's been here since 1993, and that person's at a step 9, and that's a lot longer than 5 years, and they're only at a step 9, and you're going to be here for 5 years, and you want to be at a step 9? So we're talking about, if we're talking about relative fairness,
Yeah,
you know,
he had a
other-
set criteria for making the
yes, he
moves.
did. Yes, he did. He had,
The first three people on that list, 1, 2, 3, two of them were there a year less than me, and one of them a year, maybe roughly more. That's what I'm saying. And I just threw the rest of them in, and I realized, because what you just said, Mike, I heard it from other people. But I have a case because of the first three.
So,
And I mean, you can check what I'm saying, I'm not making this
No,
up.
right, I
So I
understand.
mean, what you're saying is not completely true either, because there's three people that got that money two of them were here less than me by a year, and one of them more than me by a year, so I mean, that kind of throws that out the window.
Well, the other question would be then, and I don't have the records because I'm not in the Personnel Committee, what grade were they hired at? Because if they brought in from somewhere else, and they had years of experience somewhere else doing something, like you were brought in as a 4, not as a 1, because you had experience as a building inspector. They may have come in some position as an assessor or a finance person or something, and they might have had 15 years' experience somewhere else. We're certainly not going to bring them into the grade 4, because you know what? They wouldn't take the job if they had a brain. So I don't have that information to make that evaluation on the people that you just pointed. I just don't. I didn't. It wasn't available to me. I can only analyze the information that's in front of
A lot of this
me.
information wasn't available to me either, and I had to do some research and drag it out, and I did. But I do think it would be fair that I went up that one step, and I still feel it, and I think I did, you know, I know I've done a good job in town, I've got no complaints. I've been here for 4 years, and I think I got good reasoning that, you know, that I should get that one step. And I'm not a rookie either, you know, like you said.
I know.
And I've got experience, and, you know, and some of it is municipal experience, but some of it should be life experience. And I've got tons of life experience. I mean, that should be worth something.
So, I'm just curious about the plan last year, not just related to him, because I was, so far, very nicely, except for a couple positions, everyone falls into the salary chart. So, like, the Board of Health
That's
person,
almost brand new. I think.
Board of
they all
Health
came
person
up with that
doesn't
within
need this
2 years.
either. The Board of Health is an in-between state, too.
Well, we don't have a Board of Health agent anymore, right?
It's vacant.
It's
Vacant
vacant.
now.
Yeah, but I mean, it still should have been set at a step level.
But I think
and
it
not
was,
set
I think it
somewhere
was a
in the middle.
part-time, did they make that part-time
don't know
or
what they
something?
did.
No, that was full-time.
There was something kludgy with that.
But she was brand new. She was
Maybe
brand new.
because she was brand new. The only one that I know that we made, well, I mean, the accountant, I think he was here after you, but, I mean, he's had certifications, and there was serious reasoning behind
Just
the rationale for that.
Be a building commissioner, you have to have certifications.
Yeah,
That's,
No, I'm not, I know,
okay.
I
I'm
know.
just saying.
I know. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go, unfortunately, I didn't bring any of my personnel stuff. I probably should have in hindsight, but, sorry, I'm just getting back from vacation, but I'm gonna look through some of my meeting minutes, because we spent a lot of time with Leon and Barbara this past, budget season, and we went through just this at length with both of them until very late.
Can we ask Barbara if you fell in that?
Well, I don't want to pick on Barbara, but
Well, I
let me
just
try
figured
to,
she
let
would
me,
know, she's personnel director also, so.
She's finance director.
you are?
She's personnel director too.
No.
Many hats and
No,
badges,
the
huh?
town administrator would be the person who sets salaries and all that type of stuff.
Good for you, Bob.
She's listed as personnel director. I read it somewhere.
I'm going to see if I can quickly find.
Write me a
the
check.
minutes.
I think it's important for us to clarify this issue, because certainly if everybody went up a step, there's a fairness argument for Nelson, but my understanding was this was the year of adjusting some higher, some lower, to get everybody onto a plan. So going forward, everybody's going to go up a step, and I think that's an important thing. We
But-
need to know that, because I get,
Not everyone was put at a step last year. There are plenty of positions that are in between steps.
That's right. No, but he,
And like Kevin said, they should all be regular now, you're gonna have that trouble again.
Exactly.
I should have been straightened out last year.
I believe it was, and I think that's what Leon's intent was, and I think we were all pretty satisfied that that's what he did do. I mean, I
Let me see that again.
Let me say this, I think the idea is a great idea, I think it's perfect, it just has to be worked out, you know, that it's correct. And now I have concerns because of what Kevin said. There should be no 1.5 step right now. And if there is, somebody missed the boat somewhere.
But if what he's done here works, in 2 years, you'll be
Well,
at
it's beautiful.
the, you'll be at the
Beautiful.
top rate for the, in 2 years, you'll be at the
I'm
top
agreeing with
rate.
it, but you must agree, there shouldn't be anybody 1.5 step right now. So there is.
No, but he's
something
trying to correct the situation that he inherited. He didn't start people at half step.
Right.
When
I
he created
agree.
this chart and he came up with a fair spread for people,
Right.
all of a sudden, people didn't just fall into place, and he had to try and massage it over time, which the process has
So
begun.
everybody should be at a correct step right now, just like Kevin said. Kevin's absolutely right.
Well, no, because he only, when did he institute this program? Last year?
No,
This
this for fiscal
past
year
year.
This
19.
fiscal year.
I wasn't involved, obviously, in any of
This
those
fiscal year
discussions,
19.
but.
So, and I think he did say to us that this is gonna take time to sort out, where everybody's gonna eventually hit their number. But, you know, I think he was straightforward in saying that everyone's not gonna hit their number right away.
Again, I hate to beat a dead horse there, but you go to page 42, it says, it clearly says everybody with year service gets a step. I mean, he wrote that, I don't know what he intended, but that's what he wrote. So everybody's saying, he said this, he said that, he meant this, he meant this. I'm saying, Leon Goldman, this is what he wrote. I mean, that's all I have to go by. So the only fairness would be if I get my step.
Well, I still, I agree there's some, people who don't fit in here, but Jim's original analysis still holds. You were a 4 for fiscal year 15, a 5 for 16, a 6 for 17, a 7 for 18, and an 8 for 19, and that's where you're being paid at. So you disagree, you don't agree with the starting point?
Well, I think Leon might have looked at that 52 grand. I'm not sure what he looked at, because I ain't privy to what they talked about. I guess Barbara might know. She'd be the only one in the room that might know, but other than that, it's not like I was there to hear the conversation to know, but looking at everything,
If you want to hit a number that's going to be equivalent without being on a step, because it's not going to happen, you would take the difference right now between a 7 and an 8, and whatever that percent difference is, you would apply it to what your wage was on June 30th, and that would be your new wage now, and that would put you halfway between an 8 and a 9. And you'd still be at a half step. And you'd get...
correct.
But,
Correct.
but is that fair? That could be fair, but to take it all the way to from a
I
7 and
didn't
a half
ask for
to
the
a
full
9.
step. Barbara's the one that said she didn't want to go to half steps. I'm more than willing to accept
Because a
a
half step,
trust me.
again, it would resolve itself in 2 years, but somewhere down the road, it's going to be a half a step. Because to get on a step somewhere, you're going to have to take a half step to get onto a step. And if you postpone it 2 years, the only way you're going to go is to the top rate, and that's going to be a half step at that point.
That would be
So,
okay.
you know, but I'm just saying, at some point, if
I
you
would
stay on a half step,
I would rather see that, absolutely would.
but you understand what I'm saying, at some point, if you're going to rectify the half step,
But it
thing,
would be
it's going to
rectified
be
at
in
the
the
end.
final step in several years from now, 2 or 3 years, whatever it takes from now.
Mm-hmm.
That's one solution. I'm just looking for options here, I'm trying
That
to
would
do
be
the numbers.
fine.
Is anyone ready to make a motion?
I actually have a technicality question too about Article 4. It says that, well, I'm sorry, 44. Building inspector salary account 12411. What is that? There's two salary line items in there. Shouldn't there be two separate salary line item numbers?
Barbara? Do you know the mic?
That's right, there are, aren't there?
Yeah, I did.
We've just been identifying, that's the org related to the building inspector's salary, so his department, the salary lines.
Yeah, but there are two salary lines in there. Okay, so there should be two separate salary line items. So what's the account number for this particular line item?
I can give it to you, I don't have anything now, but I don't really think it matters, I mean, we're gonna know that if you vote it, it's a wage increase for the building inspector, if you vote his account.
It does say that it is for the building inspector in the motion.
So I'll just throw this out. If we were going to raise Nelson the equivalent of a step, based on the rate he was making prior to this fiscal year, and, or not what he was making, based on what a step 7 is on this chart and what a step 8 is on this chart, the difference is 4.243%. Okay, so if you adjust that and you say, okay, go back to what he was making on June 30th and multiply it by that factor, the wage would become $76,894.
And how does that differ from the current wage?
The current wage is 73,764.
Well, it should be 75,942.
Right. Right, but what we're saying is, if he's between a 7 and an 8, and you're gonna do it proportionately, now he's gonna be between an 8 and a 9. He's going up a full step from 7.5 to 8.5. So he's not gonna be on 8, he's gonna be
Right.
somewhere between 8 and 9.
Yeah, but the increase is really just the difference between 76,894 and 75,942.
What's that, where you get 79,940? No.
75,942 is his salary
His
according to
sal-
fiscal year 19.
salary.
Right, I
now.
took the difference between 75,942
Yeah, yeah.
and 72,851.
Well, and you're saying when you did the math, his salary should now become 76,894 if you wanted to give
Correct.
him the thing. So really, the difference that if you agreed to give him a step increase compared to his last year's salary is just the difference between 76,894 and what his current pay is set at 75,942.
Right. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes.
It would be half of that,
So that would be
3,000
minus
something.
75,942, and that would be $951 more.
No, it's more than that, it's like 15 something. Because it's 3,000, it'd be half of that, it's 15. 15 would go on to what I was supposed to be getting, that would be the half a step, so you're kind of wrong there. I mean, that's just common sense. If it's 6,000, it's half of that,
Look,
it's 1,500.
you're working off your actual pay. So working off your actual pay, that's, the percentage gets applied to that. So that sounds like Jim came up, that percentage comes up to 76,894. That equates to that 4,234, or whatever number you said a step is. He's doing a lot of math over
No,
there.
wait a minute, hang on a second. Let me just do this again, so we've got... Please bear with me.
It's okay. You have the numbers, the rest of us don't.
Kevin, those two numbers, can you repeat them, that 75 and the other one?
Well, according to the fiscal year 19 report, you're paid $75,942 for fiscal year 19.
Yeah,
And Jim's, to equate your last year's salary to this, just a step increase.
but it should be the last one, and then you could divide that out. That's the way we should be going, that forward, not backwards. It's definitely more than $900, I believe it's $900. Should be-
$858.
I'm saying around 1,500, maybe 1,300 because of other things, but it's not 9.
It brings it to 76,894.
Yeah. That's giving you a
Yeah,
step
that's probably
increase.
right.
So it's
That
only
could be right.
$951.
$894 or $76,800.94.
No,
Yeah, that could be close to being right.
$76,894.
76,894.
So the additional $950 on top of what was already given.
Right.
Yeah,
So
952.
instead of $3,091, it would be $951.
Two.
52. So instead of 75,942, you'd add 952 to that.
And that would give you then an entire step jump.
Okay, if you say so. I mean, I'm not sure, but you could be
It's
right.
still going to be in the half point, but it will have given the
Gives you
whole
the equivalent
step.
of a full step, but you're still, you've gone from a 7.5 to an 8.5.
Or less than
It's
eight.
still a step, but you're still in the middle.
I
Okay.
have a question in a more general,
If that was...
pay policy question too, after the numbers. I know in the past, there have been times the finance committee has given positions to certain departments, and the town administrator, in his wisdom, decided not to fund the position, so the money never got spent. Would that be the case here too, even if we, if it was $951 or $3,091, that the town administrator would have the ability to not authorize that excess payment?
After the town meeting ratified it?
Yeah, that's happened in the past. Do we know? Is it?
Say it's happened in the past.
You could try anyway. Did you have litigation after that?
Jim, I want to understand, so if we were to modify this to give you that full step in the $952, come next year, is the intention that you're gonna just jump a half a step to get back on
At some
track?
point,
I think what would happen, what we'd have to do to play this out, because at this point, he'd be at an 8.5.
Right.
So as long as we play it out over a period of 2 or 3 years, the final step to get from a step 9 to the max, based on inflationary increases on cost of living, or whatever you want to call it, eventually there'll be a half a step.
Yeah, somewhere along
As
the line.
there
it's
is
gonna be
a-
Eventually, the
There's a
ceiling,
final
the
step.
ceiling
You're
will
gonna
be a
hit the
half a step
ceiling.
away.
Okay.
Nelson already said, when that day comes, he knows he's only gonna get a half a step in that final year. And then after that, it's basically, as the scale moves, everybody in it moves.
Right.
Because that's been part of the problem over time, is the scale was moving at 3%, and the people were moving at 3%, and they were static in their position in the scale. If you're in the 50th percentile, and the scale moves 3%, and you move 3%, guess what? You didn't move, you're still in the same spot in the scale.
Well, I'd rather
And
lose
that's-
in the end than now. But think about it.
Tomorrow is
Think-
another day.
Think about it, you can laugh, but think about this.
No, I understand.
If you were me and you put that year in, I'm being punished because somebody screwed up when they started my pay. That's not right. At least what you're doing, it's kind of evening out. And I didn't ask for the step. Barbara said she didn't want the half steps, which I understand, because you can see all the problems you guys had just figuring it, and it's gonna give her a lot of problems.
if the
So
objective-
of course, I would say, give me the step there.
But
Obviously, I
if
think.
Leon's objective was to eventually get everybody to, all the pieces to fall into place.
Which it
then it will
was.
happen.
But it didn't happen.
It
It's
didn't
not
happen
in-
yet,
it's
But he
not-
but
couldn't
it
do it for
will
everyone,
happen.
Kevin. It
Eventually,
will
it will happen.
I clearly, unfortunately, I couldn't pull up I pulled up the meeting minutes when Barbara and Leon were here talking about it, but the details, the nitty-gritty details, unfortunately, are not captured. And I don't have my meeting notes, which do have those details. Believe me, they do. And I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna check them. But it made sense, we don't have a ton of money to just, do that for everyone. And I thought that he was doing a great thing by doing it for whoever he chose to do this that year, and then again next year. And hopefully, the town administrator that comes in behind will continue with that, and maybe the personnel committee can keep him on track to do that. It makes sense. No one's being punished, right?
I'm not agreeing with you at all, I'll tell you
I don't
why.
care.
No. Why? Did you read this? Did you read this?
Yes, I read it.
Then why are you saying that? Because it's just the opposite from what you're saying.
Well, I think that's a question for Leon that we can't ask, and I'm not sure when he wrote that, if he was explaining the intentions of what he was doing this year, so going forward, everybody was gonna be getting a step. I'm not sure that his intentions in that letter was that this year, everybody got a step. I don't
That's
think,
exactly what that letter says.
well, I think that
And I understood there was two people in town hall that didn't get it, me and the town clerk, and maybe I'm wrong, Barbara should know.
Well, the town clerk took care of her problem at the town meeting.
Right.
She adjusted
So I'm
it there on the
still
floor.
being
Well, she's in an elective office anyway, so that's a different.
Right, that is the different,
So if you look at this letter, Leon does state that the personnel committee will take care of it going forward. So are you being impatient?
No? No?
Okay.
No?
Well, okay.
My job, and I've got this here too, and I can dig it out, and I can find it. My review was 2007, and 2000, and I want to say 12, it went to personnel, and then it took to 2014 to go through. I can show you other departments where it went through in 5 days. And I can show you all this.
I'm sure,
I mean, I
I'm
don't
sure
wanna
there's
get
more
into the
to it.
nitty-gritty.
I'm sure there's more to
I don't want to say he
it.
said, she said, but I need to defend myself here, and I think I'm doing a good job.
Well, I think between the town administrator, the finance director, and the personnel committee, they keep close ties on all of this stuff. They're not gonna do something without thoroughly investigating and seeing everything. So I have to believe that all of that stuff that you're talking about was taken into consideration.
Okay, my last question is, do we have a personnel director, and is it in fact the TA? Because I was always under this understanding that it was Barbara. I mean, I absolutely understood it to be that way.
I didn't know it was
and
Bob.
think
I always
it's written that
understood
way
it to be the-
policy somewhere, but maybe I'm wrong. You can laugh, but I'm telling you.
I think she does some human resource stuff, but I believe that the personnel person is the town administrator.
And I would like to know, and I think other people in the town would like to know. So you should know who your personnel director is, so you could talk to him or her or
Well,
whoever.
we don't have a per se HR person, unfortunately, like some other towns do that. And I do remember having a discussion with the Personnel Committee about that. We don't have a lot of money, I guess.
You'd have to step down, Jim, and we won't let you do that, so.
Okay.
Anybody ready to make a motion
I'm
now?
going to make a motion that we amend Article 54 to the sum of $951.
52.
52, I believe it is.
$952, and otherwise approve it as written.
Does that make sense to you, Nelson? Do you understand where that number comes from? This way, you're getting your whole step, because,
The only thing I don't understand, and it could be because of the numbers, and I'm not an accountant, I told you I'm a building inspector. If it was 3,000 something for a step, half of it would be 15, or maybe it's because of.
but you weren't at half. You weren't really at half. You were at like 7 1/3, not 7 1/2. So that's
Okay.
where the difference comes in.
Okay.
But I think the math is correct, and,
Okay.
and it would give you, you are still going to be in a, not quite a half step, but you will have gotten your full
Okay.
jump at that figure. Does everybody agree
This
that,
problem will resolve itself for you in 2 years, where
2
you
years it will, yeah.
It'll sort itself out.
But at least this way, I'm not being held back for those 2 years, which I don't think I should be.
sounds fair to me.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It passes 4-2. Thank you.
So,
I really think a lot of these things need to go to the Personnel Committee before they come to the Finance Committee.
Well, we don't, as a person who was sitting in the audience and not actually involved in the process last year, someone who looked at just the final result, the whole salary thing was a
Very confusing.
very shadowy, very, not clear what was going on with who, being set all over the place. So for people out there who were paying the public employee salaries, it was not clear what they were doing. It was very, very confusing.
Well, maybe we should amend it at annual town meeting so that instead of just highlighting, personnel costs as one line item, we should go back to identifying.
Exactly.
What the hell they're voting for,
Yeah, exactly.
so
That's why
a
Kevin put a
start.
hold on 15 line items that night.
That was a surprise
That
when it
was.
changed, wasn't it?
Mary,
It was a little bit,
I think you're going to have to come to the microphone because of the TV. We can hear you, but our vast audience at home can't.
3 people.
I'm sure they're watching the 3-2 game. The Red Sox are winning.
There's some confusion on the Personnel Committee. Years ago, the Personnel Committee did recommend salary and wages. However, with our charter, it is strictly up to the town administrator to determine salary. The Personnel Committee now strictly looks at grades. We grade the different job positions. We reviewed a lot of them, changed some, didn't change others, and we're almost through reviewing them all. We do have a timetable set for within 5 years to continue back at square one, review them all again. But Personnel Committee does not do salaries.
So, question on that. So in developing the grades are set up, the job is here, the grades are here, but you don't attach any numbers to those grades?
No.
You just set the range. Plus or minus.
Yeah, we don't even set the range.
No, there's no numbers, there's no numbers.
They used to, the range just goes up automatically.
So Mary, are you saying that I should or I shouldn't have went to personnel before I came here? Because I'm still confused.
No, you should not
too.
have gone to personnel.
All right.
As a matter of fact, you shouldn't even come to the Board of Selectmen. That would be for other complaints, not really salary complaints. That's strictly between.
And you do know it's confusing because it's hard to find the direction.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's always confusing.
so I think I'm in the forefront, at least I'm helping other people to figure out what they're supposed to be doing in this town.
But, I had a problem when you came forward to the Board of Selectmen, because we shouldn't get salary complaints.
yes, but Mary, they come to the Finance Committee, as you know, as well. And for as long as I've been here, every year someone comes before us looking and requesting and putting up a, so,
Well, if you need more money because you don't do money, change my grade.
Yeah. Well, Well, then, maybe they should go to the
I
TA.
didn't come looking for a raise, I came here to look what I didn't get that other people got. There's a big difference.
Yeah, but
And I think we just fixed
I
that.
think we fixed that, and we need to
fixed
move
that.
on to other articles that we still have left to vote.
Okay.
So, on Article 36, we'll go there?
Yes, we have to go to Article
I'd make a
36.
motion of no action on Article 36.
Well, do they have a number now for us on 36?
Well, you can take the action,
Why are we taking no action?
because it's a blank check.
Oh, no, I think
No, we
there's
have
a
a
figure
number.
now.
We have a number.
They were waiting for the town, the search committee.
I don't know.
They voted on it last night, I think.
That's why it was the same in Article 35. It
I
was,
think it's $20,000.
no, we do have a figure now.
Okay.
I don't know what it
all
is,
right,
but we do have,
changes, now,
I'm not accepting your motion.
So Article 36 is $20,000, and that accounts for an increase in the salary range for the town administrator to 160, and it accounts for payout of vacation time that we owe previous town administrator.
That one?
so is the town administrator on this little chart thing? Or
No,
is he
because-
outside of it?
He's not on it because that's a a contracted position. But there is a range. Do you have that with you tonight?
I do, but the number, the 20,000 is comprised of two figures. 11,770 is the money that's owed to Leon,
For
Okay.
vacation time.
and then the 8,230 balance to 20,000. What we did was, Leon's salary was 145,520 or something like that. Whatever that was, we took the difference between that and 160, which will be our new max projected. It doesn't have to be what we pay, but it's going to be the new max
Yep.
for the town administrator. So whatever that difference was, we said, okay, that's the difference for the person we hired, except when we hire that person, they won't be here until January. So we only need half of it. So we divided it by two, and that half was the 8,230.
Okay.
So if the new town administrator comes in at $160,000 a year, we're going to need, in addition to what was
Allocated.
allocated, or budgeted, we're going to need 8,230 to make up the difference between what Leon was making for half a
And
year.
that's just salary?
That's just salary.
So any type of negotiated perks and all of that stuff will come separately?
Well, if you think about it, yeah, that'll come separately. And in the meantime, Leon's not here using those perks, so that money's still sitting there.
Budget.
Because I think there's about 20-something
Well,
grand in
no,
the
yeah,
budget
but-
just sitting there for his
Yeah, but
bonus
some
and
people
things like
have,
that.
cars thrown in and this thrown in, that thrown in, that all come
But
post
wasn't there some budget number, bonus numbers in there for him that the money just, he's not going to get it?
The merit
Budget?
pool.
The merit
That's
pool.
the merit
The
pool.
merit pool.
There are no
That gives
other,
us a little
there really are no other perks that
Yeah,
you're
you don't
talking
see
about.
town administrators
We
driving around
we
in
don't
cars.
have, yeah, there is no phone allowance, car allowance, none of that stuff exists.
It's the honor of working for the town.
Okay. Very nicely said.
Well, Ted, you seem to like it here, so.
Okay, so then I will
Would you
make
like
a
to make a new
motion
motion?
to amend the article to read the transfer in the sum of $20,000 from free cash and otherwise approved as written.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor? 6-0. Okay,
It's getting easier.
let's see where we have left. $49.
Yep.
The appropriation of the unused bond premiums. Now, we do have that motion. Did somebody take it from me, by the way?
Well, this is my copy.
Could I read
And I'll let
that
you
too
have
as
it,
well?
and I gotta give
before-
it back to
Oh, I have it. Here, I have it now. So the vote, or the motion should read, and this is from Barbara, that the town appropriates $19,254.69, wait, 200, oh, I can't even talk. $19,254.69 to pay costs of lighting on the town barn field, $117.01 to pay costs of capital replacement needs in the water department, and $136.86 to pay costs of capital replacement needs in the sewer department, all funds which were realized from premium paid to the town upon the issuance of bonds.
I'll make a motion to approve that motion as read.
I'll second.
Okay, I do have a question for discussion, though. So, just like you had stated earlier about the lighting, the $117 and $136 will be the first funds spent towards the well and towards the perchlorate?
No, this has nothing to do with those articles. It's the actual operating budget for sewer and water that were approved at the annual town meeting. There's a line item in there for capital expenses, so it would go towards that.
I'll just go back in there. Okay.
Yep,
So the bulk of it, though, is going for the town field lighting.
correct.
And how are those, where did this money exactly come from again?
So when you're offered basically a premium on your bonds, and those costs go towards issuance costs, and so these were excess funds after all the issuance costs were paid.
Oh, okay. And so this is the way to use them?
It goes with similar uses.
Yeah.
Yes, so you
Oh,
have
for
to, you
similar
have to use
uses.
them, yeah, well, it has to be for things that can be borrowed for. And
Oh,
so
okay.
so the, two of the projects that were refunded, one was a water project, one was a sewer project, so that money has to be used towards the water and sewer budget because those are special revenue accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other project, was the tennis court project, but
Mm-hmm.
that was funded with community preservation funds. So we have to use that money towards
Oh,
another
back to
project
a
that's being
CPA
funded with
fund.
community preservation
Oh,
funds.
okay.
Yep.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Any other questions?
No.
All in favor? 6-0. Let's see, we've done marijuana. Ooh,
It's 8-2.
Speak for yourself.
8-2, how did
Good
that
guys?
happen? Yes, the good guys.
Sox are up 8-2?
Yeah, what just happened?
Who did? Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson.
Wow,
What just happened?
grand
Oh, there you
slam.
go, okay. That I can't see, but my phone just changed
I
to
think we
8-2.
Yeah, I did just see the numbers change.
It just changed, like, right when I said it, pretty much.
Yes. All right,
I
let's
think
just,
that's everything that you guys needed to do.
I think so,
We're
too.
done.
I think we are done with the special town meeting warrant. So just a reminder that that meeting is October 29th at Tantasco, right?
Yeah,
At 7 PM.
I think he won't be going to the World Series that night, so.
No, I will not be going to the World Series.
Okay.
That team that I favored is already home.
But let's hope the same team take dispatches of the Dodgers as well.
Is it New York team?
No, my nephew pitches for the Colorado Rockies,
Oh, the Rockies.
the Rockies, so, yeah.
I'm a Yankee fan.
Oh, wow, whoa,
That's why I showed him, just
Right.
rub it in.
Well, I'm slightly different who wins. I should have said that when I was in the interview, but I'm not that crazy.
whoa. Yeah, right. All right,
We have minutes, don't we?
we do have minutes.
Yeah.
I'm going to excuse myself. Do you want me to grab that reserve fund transfer?
Oh, please. I already lost it.
I'll be here.
Okay.
I do have an amendment to the minutes or a change to the minutes.
Wait a minute, I gotta give this to the, yeah, I do too, and now I have to find what, oh, here it is. I signed it, yep.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you. All right, where are those minutes now?
That's the RFT.
Oh, here it is.
Stretcher.
October 11th?
Mm-hmm.
It was? Yes.
Yep. So my only change is on the title line for Article 51. That should actually, instead of, Chapter 2 bylaws, it should be Chapter 2 definitions.
When did you send those, Ken?
Within the last couple days. I think Mike just got them to me yesterday.
They're over here.
They're included with, when she sent the
Stretcher?
I think it was with the stretcher.
stretcher or the
I'm stealing as much
motion.
paper over here, Karen, so if
One of- I don't remember which one it was.
wanted. I have what I want.
You want to see it?
No, the RFT was along.
October 10th.
October 10th.
She sent them on October 10th?
No, I couldn't have, because this is October 11th meeting.
She knew what we were doing. You were pressing it, you heard everything, so you knew exactly what was going on.
Well, there's a typo there. It lists Article 36 twice.
Oh,
Who did the minutes?
Mike,
So do you want me to update him, or do you want Joanne to update him? I can update him, because I've got the other one.
did you get the minutes? You must have, yeah, because you're on the, you know, Jane.
So under the section that says remaining warrant articles, it says.
I think it meant 35, because there is a 35 on there.
Okay, so it says 36, 36, 37, yeah, it should have been 35.
It should have been 35.
That's the only thing I had, Kevin, with you.
And then Kevin on Article 51, it's Chapter 2 definitions, is that what you said?
It said the bylaws, yeah, the
Set of
word should be
bylaws, right.
definition, yeah.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept the minutes of October 11th as amended?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstaining? Since you weren't here. 501. Okay, any old business? New business?
Does that cover, did we cover all the articles?
I double checked.
Yep.
So we're good till town meeting?
We did most of them while you were on
I
vacation.
mean, any public access?
Things move more smoothly than when I'm not here?
I don't think that's true at all. At this point, I don't think that we have any need for a meeting before the town meeting.
You missed our long discussion on the comma.
Yeah, that's right. Otherwise, is there a motion to
Really?
adjourn?
So moved.
Yes.
Was that you?
Second? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Adjourn it.